Hey you guys, it's Holland. What's good and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I will be giving my review of this month's comebacks and releases in the month of November. Disclaimer, everything I say in this video is completely based on my own subjective and personal taste. Therefore, you may not agree with everything that I have to say in this video. However, I will not tolerate any hate in the comment section, whether that be towards me or another commenter. And if you choose to do so, your comment will be deleted. Also, if I did not include a group or soloist in this video, it usually means I am not a fan of that group or solo artist, or I didn't have much to comment on when it came to their specific release. If you are only interested in what I have to say for certain comebacks, please refer to the timestamps in the description and the comments section down below. Now let's get into this video. The first two comebacks I'll be talking about are PLT's Jinwoo's comeback with Movie and PLT's June's comeback with 10 centimeters. I personally feel like these comebacks were kind of underwhelming to me, especially compared to their older releases. Like with Jinwoo, his older releases like Color and She's Got Everything were so iconic and so mesmerizing. So now that he's been releasing more chill and mellow comebacks, it's kind of been underwhelming to me, and I wish that he would go back to that sort of like iconic sound that he used to have in the past. And the same thing goes with June as well. Like, I don't know if it's because COVID-19 kind of wrecked their schedule a little bit when it came to their comebacks and releases and production for those comebacks and releases, but I just hope next year they're able to release more quality content instead of what they released this year. Because if I'm being honest, I feel like the last comeback that I actually enjoyed from a PLT member was Lindsay's comeback in December of last year. Next is AB6's comeback with Salute. To be honest, I still feel like I don't know how to feel about this comeback, because with me I feel like I'm usually not gravitated towards more anthem, hard-hitting marching band type of concepts and songs. However, this comeback was kind of an exception in this case. I feel like they actually took the good quality traits of this type of concept and amplified it. Is it as good as Blind for Love or Breathe? Of course not. However, it's still cute. She's cute. When it comes to the individual members, I feel like Jung really did his thing with the vocals were on point. Like the vocals were popping. They were so good, especially in that pre-chorus. My only question for the song is that why did they let Daehui rap? Like the rap wasn't extremely bad. Like it had decent flow, but I feel like the rap had way too much English in it, and also his tone was kind of iffy. Like it wasn't bad, but it was still like not the best that it could possibly have been. And then when it comes to the choreo, I feel like the choreo relied way too much on the background dancers, but it's not their fault, because when it comes to 4-member groups, it's very hard to find a good creative choreo with those types of groups. Like if you look at groups like Card, mmmh, and Blackpink, it's very hard to provide a good creative formation that looks good on its own without backup dancers. Last was this EP. I feel like this EP was kind of, well, it wasn't bad. However, I feel like when it comes to my personal taste, I didn't like it that much as like their older albums from last year. Like I feel like overall this year, their discography has kind of depleted for me. Like last year, I was bopping to almost every single B-side. However, this year, like I only like 2 B-sides from their albums, which is last EP's Surreal and this EP's Maybe. Yeah, so overall this comeback was kind of like not good for me. However, I feel like they still have room to improve for next year. Okay, next is Secret Number's comeback with Got That Boom. Oh my god, this is so fucking good, bitch. Yes. It was a fucking serve, bitch. Yes. Like, I was surprised I liked this comeback so much, because with their debut, I didn't like it at all. Like, their debut was kind of like boring to me and kind of very underwhelming. But this comeback, they snapped all of the fuck back, bitch. The two that stood out to me the most were Denise for her vocals, like her pre-chorus vocals with that like, bitch, you better fucking sing, bitch. You better sing, better serve the table. And also, like, Jenny's rap verse after the dance break was so good. Like, especially because in their debut, like I thought that her rapping was kind of mediocre and very bad, probably because it had so much English in it. But overall, I didn't like her rapping at all in her debut. But now I feel like, oh my god, like she's actually snatched. She's talented. She's everything, period. But moving on, I feel like the sets for the music video were very cohesive and had that same neon bright theme to it, which I liked a lot. The outfits gave me very much Zimzalabim and Itzy vibes, but it was still cute. Like it still was cute. Like somehow they pulled it off. So yeah, all I have to say is secret number female rookie of the year, period. Next is Gfriend's comeback with Mago. For me, this comeback was good. It was very wholesome, a snack, a meal. However, I feel like I still prefer Apple over this comeback because Apple was something else. Like, bitch, that hook is so catchy. Like, bitch, in the church, like, we oh, wow, 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 wow. We oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Like, she was everything. But Mago is also cute. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so Yuju owned this era. Faqs, period. Faqs only. We serve faqs only. Like, sis was on a fucking disco ball in platform heels and a high ponytail. Like, bitch, what more could you ask for? Like, bitch, I'm sorry, I don't make the fucking rules. And side note, that little laugh at the intro, like, ha ha ha. Like, I immediately had to pause the music video and just, like, recollect myself because I was cackling so fucking hard. I was wheezing, bitch. The choreo was decent. She was simple, like a little simple, wholesome choreo. Because I feel like these days, especially with the fourth generation coming in, having these intense, crazy ass choreos, I feel like there's this pressure on groups these days to have like the most intense and difficult technical choreos of all time, when I feel like it's okay to go a more stripped down, simple choreo is also fine as well. The only negative thing I have to say for this comeback is probably the album. Like with me, Gfriend's B-sides usually aren't my taste that much, but it's fine because the title track is a bop. The title track is a bop. Next is Taemin's comeback with Idea. For me, this is probably Taemin's best comeback of all time for me. Like, this shit surpassed Want and Move. Like, this was it. This was everything I was asking for Taemin, because I feel like with his recent releases, I feel like they were kind of lackluster. Like, Two Kids and Criminal were kind of mellow to me. When it comes to the song itself, I feel like this song was very, very good. I liked how in the choruses, like each chorus, it intensified more and more and more. Like with the first chorus, I was kind of like scared because I was like, please don't let this be another damn EDM beat drop chorus. But then when it came to the second chorus, the lyrics popped in. I was like, oh my god, this is so fucking good. And then the third chorus, they added like the ad-libs, and so I was like, oh my god, it's even better. The outfits were also very good. I like the blue silk outfit, like at the end of the music video, as well as the purple velvet suit, and also the set at the end with the lightning in the background with all the backup dancers and the feather outfits. It was really, really pretty. And when it came to the album was very, very good. I liked it. It was kind of an improvement from his last album. Like with his last album, I was only really interested in those 2 tracks, and that was basically it. But with this album, I feel like this album had a lot of diversity. It was very, very good, and overall it was just a lot of major improvement from his last album. I was also excited to see that B-side with Wendy featured on it, because it was very, very good. It's called Be Your Enemy, I think. Yeah, it was very, very good. Her vocals sounded amazing as per usual. I was just surprised to see how well their vocal colors meshed together, because Wendy has like a more soulful and radiant and warm voice, while Taemin has a more like cool, kind of nasally, and like overall a very like effortless and kind of breathy tone. So I was surprised to see that their vocals meshed this well together. 'Cause you make it better, give it a better. Next is Twice's Japanese comeback with Better. At first, this comeback was kind of like I didn't like it very much. However, this comeback, it grew on me a lot. The reason was mainly because I feel like their voices, especially Sana's, was kind of strained in the chorus, as well as JYP cheating Mina out of an actual vocal in the chorus. My main attraction for this comeback was probably the choreo. The choreo is very good. I was surprised to see this because usually JYP, they put more effort into Twice's Korean choreographies rather than their Japanese ones, at least in my personal opinion. And lastly, I feel like the music video sets didn't go well together very much. I feel like the set with like the orange and black like Halloween fall theme was cute, but then like they diverted to like a more like the bluish set was kind of like it wasn't very cohesive in my opinion. Next is stayc's debut with So Bad. The first thing I have to say is that I was very surprised to see a music video budget that was very high for such a small company. Like, I was like, where y'all get this money from? And also, who was that girl? Like, this girl in the music video, like, she was like all the slow-mos and she was giving very much Aphrodite. Like, the cuntiness level was like off the charts, bitch. Like, she was like strutting and shit. I was like, yes. And also the girl with the braids and the blue wig, girl, she was like giving me very much like Street Fighter tease, and we're here for it. But the song itself, I feel like the song is very unique and it stands out among like other K-pop songs that's been released this year. Like, also the vocalists have a very unique sound to them. Like one girl has a more like deeper register and another has a more mature, kind of like second gen K-pop vocalist in a way. Yeah, so we love to see a diverse group of vocalists in a group. Next is Aespa's debut with Black Mamba. Right off the bat, all I have to say is best rookie girl group vocals. Like, I've recently been watching all of like their live stages recently, and like their vocals are so good. Like they honestly barely even need any playback. SM really went hard when it came to the budget for this music video. Like, they really went all out. Like, everything looked so expensive, looked so... Like, SM took all the coin they made off of NCT and taemin and Super M and Monster from Irene and Seulgi and just spent it all on Aespa. And we love to see it. The best part of the song for me was probably the bridge. Like, Winter and Ningning really went off on that bridge. Like, it was so good. Like, Winter, definitely my bias, period. Now on to the negative. I feel like this choreography was kind of repetitive, and like the drop was cute. It was cute the first time, like the second time, the third time, it just got repetitive for me. Like, singing it over and over again throughout the song. It was like, yes, girl, we get it. You're flexible. Yes, you have no bones. And even though I like this song a lot, I could see how someone could see this as kind of basic or kind of average. Especially because like SM marketed Aespa as if Aespa was supposed to provide something new to the table when it came to the K-pop industry for 4th gen groups. However, I feel like this comeback, or no, this debut, could have been released under any other girl group and it wouldn't have made of a difference. Like, it's kind of like this debut is kind of generic in that way. But at the same time, I feel like we as K-pop stans tend to be hypercritical of our faves and of newer groups, and we want them to be like this perfect image and want them to be as perfect as possible with zero flaws and want them to come out with bangers every single time. But obviously, like, that's not realistic in this case. Like, you can't expect your faves to come out with something amazing every single comeback. Like, that's not very realistic. And I also feel like we tend to overanalyze every single little detail and try to nitpick every single thing to find a flaw within the debut or within the comeback. But I feel like we need to take a step back and just like appreciate the debut for what it is, and that yes, it may not be like the most amazing comeback or debut in the world, but it's like, it's still good, it's still decent. Next is Woodz' comeback with Bump Bump. I feel like he should have released this song in the summer instead of Love Me Harder, because I feel like this song would have been better suited for like a more summer song, a more like pop coming of age concept that it had. The song itself was kind of It was kind of bland to me. I feel like I prefer Love Me Harder, even though I didn't like Love Me Harder that much either as well. But for me, it was still kind of bland in comparison to that, in my opinion. But I didn't really care that much because the main thing I was looking forward to was the B-sides, because the B-sides from the last album with Love Me Harder were so good. Like Accident and Waikiki are such good songs to me. And thankfully this EP was also able to recreate that kind of spark that it had with Love Me Harder. The B-sides were also very good as well. And also I like how this album diverted from Woods' usual sound. Like Woods usually goes for a more like R&B hip hop album, but with this one it kind of went more of a contemporary pop kind of album instead. So it was good to see like him divert from that usual traditional sound that he usually goes for. Next is Momoland's comeback with Ready or Not. This is definitely my favorite comeback from them. I love how with this comeback it kind of diverted from their usual sound. Like usually with Momoland, they usually go for like a more like jazzy, like upbeat with like saxophones and trumpets in the background of the chorus. Like this song still had that. However, it was more of a more mature sound and less comical and less animated, and seemed like more grown up for them as women. They all looked so good. Like also especially Ah-hin. Like girl, she looked so good. Like she was giving me very much like Mean Girls with that blonde hair and the contacts. Like yes, it was such a look. I got crush on maybe I'm crushed on you. Next is BAE173's debut with Crush on You. To start off, I didn't really like the name of their group. I didn't like the name. It kind of reminds me of like someone's like Twitter username password, like BAE173. I like how this comeback was a more like brighter, upbeat concept, because usually with boy groups that are just now debuting, they're going for more like a more like coming of age concept, or a more darker concept, or a more boy crush concept instead. So it was very refreshing to see a brighter concept on a boy group these days, especially as a fan of H&D when they debuted with a more like boy crush concept. I like how the choreography had like a more like jazzy, upbeat, light feel to it, similar to Astro's choreographies. I also recently listened to this EP, and Prelude with You sounds so good. Like here, insert some clips. I'm waiting for this time all day and night. 너라는 운명을 드디어 만나게 된 날. Tonight is the night. Every night was for tonight. I'll never let you down. Yeah. 그냥 보여주고 싶은 내 모든 걸 기다려서 너를 위해 나 여기 다 전부 다 쏟아내고 싶다. 나 여부야 아니 전부야. So I want you to walk with me. Next is BTS's comeback with Life Goes On. I really liked Life Goes On. Like this song reminds me of like a HYYH B-side, and it overall reminded me of like BTS's older music, which was very good for me. However, this album was not it for me. In fact, I feel like it's probably one of their weakest albums to date, in my opinion. No shade. That's just the way I feel personally. Like the only song that I liked was Disease, and mainly because of the bridge. The bridge for Disease is very, very good. As everyone keeps saying, the bridge for Disease is amazing. However, I feel like the rest of the song was kind of bland to me. Like I was legit like listening to it and then just doing my homework, and then all of a sudden the bridge comes through and was like, I looked at my computer, I was like, oh shit, bitch, time to turn up. However, I feel like instead of releasing this album, they should have just released an EP instead to help like focus on more quality B-sides rather than like more mediocre ones just to release just for the sake of having a full album. Next is part 2 of NCT 2020's Resonance comeback. In terms of B-sides, I feel like definitely part 2's B-sides were much better than part 1's. Like I said before in my October comeback review, I felt like the B-sides for NCT 2020 Resonance album part 1, I feel like that album was kind of basic for me. Like it didn't give me what I needed, basically. However, this one did, so I love to see the improvement. When it comes to 90s love, I feel like based off the title of the song, I was expecting a more like R&B, sultry, like 90s R&B type of song, but instead we got like a more like upbeat, jazzy 90s pop song, especially with all the horns in the background of the chorus. I also love how the song is called 90s Love. Meanwhile, over half the members aren't even born in the 90s or barely born in the 90s. Oh, and something I wanted to say in my October comeback review with reviewing part 1, I wish SM had gave Shotaro and Sungchan a duo release, because I feel like with the NCT 2020 releases, I feel like it didn't really showcase those two members' abilities that much. So I wanted to see like a duo release between the two members so I could easily examine and analyze their talents as rappers and dancers. 조금씩 그려져가는 너와 나의 경계 breathe in, breathe out, hear me now. You know what? 넌 나의 마지막 희망, my answer. You're the missing last piece. Next is GOT7's pre-release with Breath, as well as their comeback with Last Piece. I like Breath, however, I feel like the chorus is kind of lackluster and kind of empty. It's not bad, but still I feel like there was something more that could have been added to it to help make it more fulfilling to me. However, I did like Last Piece a lot more. Like I like how in the chorus it kind of like has like two different sides to it. Like in the first half of the chorus, it's more like poppy, more like fluid, contemporary pop, but then like when you go to the second half of the chorus, it's more like hard-hitting, dark EDM type of concept. Overall, I feel like JB and Young J's vocals really stood out to me a lot. Especially because with me, I usually don't really like Young J's voice, but this time I feel like the song really complemented his vocal color very well. And then I also really like the fashion when it comes to Breath. Like Breath had really good fashion. Like Bam Bam's outfit was good. Mark's outfit was good. Kind of like editorial, but still good. And then also JB's longer hair and then Jackson's blonde hair was really good as well. However, the album to me was kind of like lackluster. Like usually with GOT7 discography for me, it's kind of like either a hit or a miss. Like some albums are really good to me and then some albums are really bad. Well, I won't say bad, like kind of like they're just not my taste. And this album just so happened to be that way. Next is Niziu's debut with Step in a Step. I didn't really like this song very much, mainly because like some of the girls' vocal tones were kind of like off for me. Like it didn't really appeal to me very much. And also I'm usually not a fan of girl groups doing more cute concepts. Girl, you can call me emo, but bitch, it is what it is. And it also kind of reminded me of like Aespa's Japanese comebacks, which I'm usually not a fan of. However, the music video was very pretty. I like the music video. The styling was very pretty. So yeah, overall, they're a good group, but I don't see myself like listening to them in the future because they're just simply not my taste, which is perfectly fine. Don't make me dream of you. Don't make me dream of you. Don't make me dream of you. Next is Chungha's pre-release with Dream of You. This song was kind of average to me compared to Stay Tonight and compared to Play. However, it was still a very good song. Like I could see myself growing to like it more and more, especially by the time when the album comes out. For styling, I really like the pink outfit that she wore in the pre-chorus, in the first pre-chorus, as well as her hair with the blonde highlights in the second chorus. When it comes to the choreography, I liked how the choreography during the chorus and incorporated both masculine and feminine techniques, because usually when it comes to dance, more masculine techniques are usually things like moving more angular in a more sharper way, like in hip-hop especially. And then I liked how it incorporated, like in the second half of the chorus especially, it had more feminine, like flowy and soft movements. So like the choreo was very androgynous in that kind of way. So yeah, overall, it was a good pre-release. I'm just waiting for the next pre-release that's coming out next month in December, as well as the album that's soon to come out. Because you already know I'm going to be streaming my ass off that day. Next is EXO's Kai's solo debut with I really like how this solo displayed Kai's skill as a vocalist a lot, because usually with Kai, a lot of people tend to view him as someone who has a pretty face, just a visual, just someone who is able to dance, and that's it. When in reality, in my opinion, if Kai was in any other group in K-pop, I feel like he would be considered at least a lead vocalist. It's just that because he's in a group like EXO, where he has members like Baekhyun, Chen, and D.O, who are also incredible vocalists, he kind of gets undermined when it comes to that kind of way, especially in like line distribution. Like for instance, when he pulled that high note at the end of the last chorus, I was surprised to see that he had the range to even do that. I was also surprised to see that SM didn't give Kai a solo sooner, because in my opinion, Kai is arguably one of the most popular members of EXO. So I was surprised that after 2 years of giving the other members solos, he's just now getting a solo. And also that hook is very catchy and addictive, like that yeah, whoa. Like that's so addictive. The album was decent. Like it wasn't for me, like it wasn't on the same level as Baekhyun's Unvillage album. However, it was still very decent. But overall, if SM decide to give him more comebacks in the future, I definitely can see Kai becoming a very strong solo artist in the K-pop industry. And last but not least is Enhypen's debut with Given Taken. I haven't listened to this song too many times so far, however, I could see it becoming a grower for me. Like on my first listen, I didn't like it amazingly, however, I still think it's a very good song, and I could eventually grow to love it more and more as I keep listening to it. My favorite part is definitely the chorus. The chorus has a lot of interesting melodies to it. It's a very mysterious, very elusive and mystical, which I love to see. It kind of reminds me of like something that TXT will release, similar to like a combination of Can't You See Me with Runaway. The album was kind of average for me, with my faves being Let Me In 10 Months. But overall, the main thing that appealed to me with this comeback was the concept and the styling. The styling, like this kind of like elegant, like Victorian aesthetic is very appealing to me. But overall, I feel like this group has a lot of potential to grow in the future, and that they have a large potential to be big names in the 4th generation. Okay, you guys, this is the end of the review. Thanks for watching. If you wish to purchase an astrology or tarot card reading from me, click the link in the description below. If you wish to DM me a question privately on social media, here's my Instagram. If you enjoyed the review, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and remember to stay snatched.